Now, the internet has been very loudly talking about the very real possibility that Xbox announces going third-party this coming Monday, but the fire and brimstone stemming from that topic kind of brushed something else rather interesting under the rug, and that's the launch of Sony's latest first-party game, Helldivers 2, a live-service PvE co-op shooter that launched on both PS5 and PC with full crossplay. And this isn't the first time Sony has launched a first-party game on PC day and date. It's certainly the first time they've put this much marketing juice into one of their day-and-date PC games, but it's also seemingly their most successful day-and-date PC launch so far by a pretty significant margin. The success of Helldivers 2 on Steam is an indication that Sony going day-and-date with their first-party PC ports could very well be a thing that starts pushing them to the next level, because it's been a pretty common talking point recently that Sony's PC ports often get swept under the rug, either because they have horrible release dates with little to no marketing, or because they're full-price ports of games that everyone knows everything about for multiple years before the PC port comes out. So obviously there isn't a big sales rush to games like that like there is on the PS5 version. Helldivers 2 putting up the numbers it is should be an indication to Sony that day and date on PC is a huge opportunity for boosted sales and increasing their revenue from the PC ecosystem. But the interesting aspect here is, as everyone has been talking about the implications of Xbox potentially bringing their first-party games to more platforms, Sony just launched one of their first-party games on the PC day and date with the PS5 version, and it's been going extremely well for them. Well, mostly. The PC version of Helldivers 2 is kind of a mess, frankly, and it's rightfully getting smashed in the user reviews for it. But in terms of sales, it's doing extremely well. It's currently the top of the global sales charts on Steam, but it also only has a 52% approval rating due to the abysmal optimization and the inclusion of a very invasive anti-cheat software, which in a PvE game like this is just brain dead and unforgivable. Like, the fact that you're hindering the game's performance so you can crack down on a cheating problem that was almost certainly never going to exist in a game like this is honestly exactly the kind of thing I'd expect from a first-party Sony game on PC, frankly. But where there's Sony putting games on PC, there are PlayStation fanboys throwing a hissy fit that the giant corporation did something that would make them more money without having to also force people to buy PS5s. And I'll never stop finding comedy in this logic. Like, the PlayStation diehards are the ones who want Sony to make as much money possible, but they're also the ones who cry the loudest when Sony makes money off the PC. Like, I hate to keep telling you guys, but a lot of PC players just aren't going to buy a PS5, and it's about time that you and Sony both accept that. Because there's a lot of money to be made off the PC gamers who aren't ever going to enter Sony's hardware ecosystem, but are more than happy to throw some shillings at the good games that Sony funds when they come to PC. And Helldivers 2 is the latest piece of evidence that going day and date with PC ports is the natural next step. So naturally, the PlayStation diehards started crying really loudly at the news that Helldivers 2 was topping Steam. So welcome back to your regularly scheduled PlayStation Salt video, because a lot of outlets and PlayStation influencers on Twitter were reporting on the news that Helldivers 2 is doing really well on Steam, and lots of ponies replied with lots of really stupid reasons as to why that's actually bad news. So let's begin. SMPV Drake Valken says PlayStation games shouldn't be day and date on PC. It should be a generational gap of at least 8 years to port a game to PC just for the sake of game preservation. So for the sake of game preservation, an 8-year gap. Sir, are you okay? Well, there was another one of theirs that I saw in a different thread. They say, it shouldn't be day and date on PC. People hyping up Steam numbers are going to lead PlayStation into the same path as Xbox. It's just the people who would have bought the game on PS5 as buying it on PC. Going day and date has no advantage. You genuinely think the only people buying the game on PC are the ones who would have bought it anyways on PS5? Bro, that's... No. Like, are you really buying into the delusion that people on PC are just willing to go out and buy a PlayStation? One of the big reasons we're on PC is because we don't want to buy a PlayStation. Now, are there people who have PS5 and PC who are now buying the PC version instead of the PS5 version? Yeah, I'm sure there are people like that. But those people were gonna buy the game either way, and Sony's making money off both sales. So the rollover between the PC community and the PS5 community who are buying launch day first-party Sony games on PC instead of PS5, like, that rollover being a problem for Sony is just not a thing that's happening, because those people were going to buy the game either way. Helldivers selling this well on Steam proves that there's a lot of people who were not going to buy a PlayStation, but who will buy the PlayStation games when they come over here. 4K VRR Gamer says PC gamers only buy cheap games or pirate. Well, have you considered that perhaps we only buy cheap games because it's harder to rip us off? Because we generally have higher buying standards than the console market? But also, how many times does the PC community have to prove that if games are well received and fairly priced, they sell gangbusters over here? Like, how is it possible that we're still bringing up the PC gamers are pirates thing when Palworld literally sold 12 million copies on Steam in 2 weeks last month? Also, I love how you're complaining about PC gamers being pirates in response to news that PC gamers are buying Helldivers a lot. Like, you can't have it both ways. You literally cannot. If PC gamers were all pirates and all we did was pirate games, then we'd be pirating the $40 game just like we pirate all the non-$40 games. But for Helldivers 2, the opposite of that happened, and that upsets you for some reason. You're a goofball. Hi, hello, this channel is sponsored by 40 Gaming. Go get a nice mouse pad at 40gaming.com and use code Joe for a discount. This channel is also sponsored by Glitch Energy. Go get some Glitch Energy, it's like G Fuel but better, and use code Joe for a discount. Okay, cool, thanks, bye. IGN tweeted out Helldivers 2 launching on PC alongside PS5 is the second top selling game by revenue on Steam. And then they got a very angry response from someone named @MMABaller13_, which is the kind of name I'd expect to see on Black Ops 1. But they say, what a weird propaganda title. It's Helldivers 2 is launching on PS5 alongside PC, and not the other way around. Helldivers is owned by Sony, you Microsoft shill clowns. Helldivers is an exclusive PlayStation-owned IP. Wow, so because Helldivers listed the PC before the PS5 in an article about the PC version's sales on Steam, that makes this a propaganda title, and it makes IGN Microsoft shill clowns because they mentioned the PC version before the PS5 version in an article specifically about the PC version. You can't make this up. The last 3-4 days of Twitter gaming salt have been almost exclusively the Xbox guys yelling and screaming about games going to other platforms. And yet, I'm still here making this video because how do you guys never miss the opportunity to look like the dumbest people alive? It's amazing. This person's name is @LastOfUsPSN, and their username is PS5 is better. Oh boy. They respond to the news of the Steam sales and say, I was expecting it to be a lot higher since it's a day one PC release. I honestly don't expect much chatter around this game in a month or two. Yeah, funny that you want to talk about how Helldivers is somehow disappointing in the Steam charts, but I just pulled up the PlayStation Network website, and according to PSN itself, on Thursday, February 8th, the literal launch day of Helldivers 2, it wasn't even in PSN's top 10 most popular games. You take issue with the numbers that Helldivers 2 is putting up on the Steam charts and saying that you expected the numbers to be higher, but it's literally doing better on our charts than your charts. At the exact same time that I took those screenshots of the PSN most popular, I took this screenshot of the Steam most popular. So maybe don't bring up chart positions as a point against the PC or in favor of the PS5 for this game, because we're just as good at buying mediocre games en masse as the PS5 dudes are, apparently, judging by the user score. The game could be great, sure, it's not like most people on PC can tell right now. Appreciate that, Sony. You dicks. @ShadyGamer77 says they should only stick to doing this for live service. Let the PC players wait 1 to 2 years for Horizon 3, God of War 3, Last of Us 3, Spider-Man 3, Ghost of Tsushima 2. If they want to play them at launch, then they need to get a PS5. I take great issue with the fact that you call the sequel to God of War Ragnarok God of War 3. Make it even more clear that you started playing video games like within the last 2 years. But my boy, you are so dense. You're so dense. Helldivers 2 is proof that if you market the game to people who won't buy a PS5, they will still buy a PS5 game. And the people who were going to buy the game for the PS5 anyways, if they choose to buy the game on PC instead, you're still making money off of them because they were going to buy the game either way, and PlayStation is publishing both versions. This is so comically not hard to understand, and yet you just can't comprehend it. And what really amazes me the most about this comment is that you're just so confident that the non-live service games shouldn't get the same day and date treatment, but you literally can't think of a single reason why that makes any level of sense, because if you could think of a reason, you would have presented it here. But you and all your PlayStation-obsessed buddies are completely incapable of coming up with actual reasons why things should be different for the non-live service games. Like this whole idea that a lot of PlayStation guys have where it's like, oh, live service games, that makes sense for day and date, but nope, not the non-live service games, that doesn't make sense. Like, why? Genuinely, why? Helldivers 2 is proof that that's a really stupid way to think about this. And yet the stupid thoughts persist anyways. Someone just named E responds to the sales news and says, hopefully this will help to reduce the gap of PS5/PC releases, with baking in the PC release with the initial marketing spend, win all around, which is correct. But then Nib95 responds, wouldn't say it would necessarily be a win all around, especially if resources, development time, optimization, design intention, etc. are split between platforms, potentially resulting in less quality product/production. I love how you list design intention there. Like, oh, if they make the game for PlayStation and PC, that could compromise the design intention. Bro. What the fuck does that mean? You can't just say words that don't make sense and then just be like, yep, I've made my point. Like, what? Why the fuck how would the design intention change if it was made for 2 platforms instead of 1? What? But also, just so we're clear here, you think if Sony started putting games out on PC and PlayStation at the same time, that would somehow impact, like, the resources. But if they did this, they would be making more money off of the game, which means they would have the extra resources because the PC version coming out day and date would provide them money for the extra resources and then some. I swear, you guys are so bad at explaining this. You are so bad at explaining why some day and date is okay, but other day and date is not okay. Like, none of your logic makes sense. At Karzuz says it's probably going to motivate them to day and date. Sony always learns the wrong lesson. So when Sony releases a first-party game day and date on PC and gives it a half-decent marketing push, it results in tons of sales that they otherwise would not have gotten if the PC version had been delayed by a year, or maybe 2 years. But if you think Sony continues to do this, that would be them learning the wrong lesson from the situation. I don't get you people. I just straight up don't. Jeez. Wow. This is exhausting, Toodles.